Hello Raiders, welcome back. First of all, thank you so much for showing the love and support on my previous video about me putting the stickers on the visor of my bike. और उसी सिलसिले में आज हम बात करने वाले हैं about today's video, which is me installing the AS200 visor on my bike Dominar 400. Before we get into the installation process, I want to talk about two things, which is why and how. Why did I put the visor in the first place, and how did I install it? So first talk about why. The answer to why has got three reasons. The very first reason is when you ride at high speeds on this bike, the smaller windscreen or visor does not give you enough protection against the wind, so it hits your chest directly, and to me it is uncomfortable to ride in such kind of conditions. So I wanted to install a windscreen or a visor which basically gives me some protection. It's not a very big visor which basically covers up until my eyesight or eye level, and it's also not a very small visor which basically gives you no protection. So that's one of the reasons, first reasons why I basically wanted to install a visor, specifically of a medium size. Second reason behind me installing the visor is I have a mobile holder which is mounted on the handle, and I use the mobile holder to place my mobile there and see maps when I'm riding. When I'm riding at reasonable speeds, there are every chances of something flying off the road, maybe a small stone or some bug, and then flying off at high speeds towards the mobile, which could damage the phone, and I won't be very happy man if that happens. Right? So that's my second reason, to have a visor which basically gives some sort of protection for my mobile when I'm riding across at high speeds. Third reason that we're going to talk about is, well, obviously it makes the bike look pretty, right? A smaller visor definitely does the job in its section, but then a bigger visor gives you that eye-turning movement, and the reason why I'm getting so many questions on my videos. It looks pretty, right? That's also the reason why I basically installed this AS200 visor. So guys, I know it's very obvious. Why didn't Bajaj think of this, right? This video is not to prove that Bajaj engineers or basically the bike designers do not think of all of these factors when they roll out the bike. Well, they basically have an expert team who basically does think about all of these factors, and they do that research at a market level, not at my level or typically your level, but at a market level as to what's the best for an Indian consumer. Hence, probably they decided not to go for a big visor, and this video does not mean to offend any of them, and basically it's just my way of how I want my bike to look, right? It's not really necessary that this applies to all the Dominar owners, that they should install an AS200 visor because of those reasons I mentioned. Probably they don't affect them, right? So it's not necessary. Let's keep that in mind, and let's move on to the next section, which is how I installed the AS200 visor. The thing that we need to do is to put a paddock stand on the bike so that it becomes very stable. उसके बाद या आपके पास अगर paddock stand नहीं है तो कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, बट ऐसे ही बोल रहा हूँ क्योंकि ये बाइक को स्टेबिलिटी देती है और आपका जो काम है वो बहुत ईजी रहता है. यहाँ पे एक बोल्ट है और ये बेसिकली दूसरा बोल्ट है. इन दोनों बोल्ट्स के ऊपर ओरिजिनल बेसिकली जो वाइज़र है वो अटैच किया जाता है, और इनको पहले आपको खोलना पड़ेगा. I'll come to these parts a bit late, but then ओरिजिनल वाइज़र को हटाने के लिए आपको साइड्स में, इनके साइड्स में जो दो बोल्ट्स होते हैं इनको खोलना पड़ेगा, एंड द नंबर प्लेट ऑल्सो इज अटैच्ड ऑन टू दीज बोल्ट. तो पहले आप जो स्टेप करेंगे वो है इन दोनों को अनबोल्ट करने का. यहाँ पे बेसिकली हम दिखा रहे हैं कि हाउ डू यू बेसिकली अनबोल्ट इट. तो पहला नट यहाँ पे अनबोल्ट होता है, दूसरा ये साइड का पैनल बाहर आ गया. सॉरी, so this is about removing the side panels, which is of the painted panels over there. एक और बोल्ट जो बेसिकली साइड पे है, and there are few other bolts which are there. on the side of the
Small
bike.
pin.
So basically सिर्फ प्रेस करने से निकल जाती है.
चिन्ह पिन है.
Now the whole idea is basically कि आप इंजन ये जो हेडलैम्प का सारा सेक्शन है वो पहले बाहर निकालें by unscrewing the bolt, I mean the screws on the sides, and you know if you see उन्होंने सिर्फ पुश किया और ये पुश की बाहर आ गई. You know it kind of it comes out. Underneath the headlamp, which you will need an Allen key. Allen key एक बेसिकली एक सिंपल सा टूल होता है जो बेसिकली आप यूज़ कर सकते हो उसको अनबोल्ट करने के लिए. एंड वंस यू अनबोल्ट द बॉटम टू नट्स, द होल हेडलैम्प सेक्शन विल कम आउट very easily. So let's unbolt the two bolts at the bottom. Okay, so here's the section of the headlamp which is completely taken off, and we basically will need the visor now, right, to be able to kind of do the next steps. So first things first, you basically need to take the visor, put it on top of the helmet, I mean the headlamp like this, right, and you need to make the markings where those four holes will come in. Obviously this is a done product, so I'm basically just kind of walking through the steps. So you need to kind of put the visor on top of the headlamp. Exactly, there is a V shape here, and there is a V shape on the visor as well. So you need to match it accordingly. And then you need to make the marks with help of a pen or something, or a particular stick which kind of has a paint at the end of it. Put it through the holes, and then try and make the marks across on the headlamp section. So I have basically kind of made 4 marks, which are obviously bolted now, but then then it was just like marks, white marks across. So what I did is I sort of took up a small stick or a needle sort of a thing, which basically I dipped it across in paint, applied the visor on top of it, use the holes which are already there on the visor and kind of mark across on the headlamps. After I've done that, I have purchased these big bolts which are like size of a finger, right? If I say approximately a size of a finger, you can find them across in any of the automobile shops. Guys, there are 2 sets of bolts that you can find. The first one that you will find is somewhere around this size, half a finger. Don't go for that, because then it basically does not leave enough gap between the plastic body and the visor, right? So you need to kind of buy a one which are really long, thick, with a few bolts and some washers as such. I mean, some washers you need to purchase. So this is, you will find the bushes, the nuts, the washers, the bolts. You can find all of them in the automobile shop, and they don't cost more than like, I mean, all of this for like 4 sets will be less than $100, right? So you can buy them, and then whatever blue white dots you had made, you need to kind of create a hole down there, right? And then screw in or bolt in these nuts into those holes and secure them with a nut on the top, right? So that this one piece doesn't move, this piece doesn't move, this piece doesn't move. Once all the 4 nuts are done, remember, you need to assemble the visor, the headlamp onto the bike as it is. You cannot put the visor right now, because once you put the visor on top of it and try and assemble it, it won't work, because then you have to kind of screw in these top nuts. So always remember, you need to kind of put the headlamp as it is, naked fashion, with the 4 bolts onto the bike, और उसके बाद आपको ये visor उसके ऊपर install करना. This goes last. This doesn't go up front, right? I mean, up front में वो fix करके उसके bike के ऊपर आप headlamps नहीं लगा सकते. It won't work, because there are 2 nuts on the top which basically need to go in. And if you put the visor on, then you don't have space to kind of tighten it up. So again, I'll go slow on this process, but just a recap. Unbox the stuff, take off the electrical connections, dismantle this stuff, take off the electrical connections, place the visor, get the markings done. And once the marking is done, bolt in bigger bolts and secure them with a nut on top. Assemble this with the electrical connections first, assemble this onto the bike and then put in the visor. So let's go through that. Since this is already done, I'm sure, unfortunately I can't take it off now, but then this is how it is. You can buy a spray paint or something of that sort to paint it black if you want. Obviously these don't kind of get painted by the shopkeepers themselves, so that you can do that, right? Which I'm going to do right now. So let me just show you that. So the first thing that you do is basically fix the electrical connections again. Full headlamp section will be kind of re-put in onto the bike section. It's a little dirty, you don't realize it, but then it's not very clean. That's fine, it's inside, you don't kind of see it every day, that's okay. So after this assembly section is done, we'll basically kind of apply the visor on top of it. So the top two nuts go in the first, because then they're gonna hold the headlamp into its position. Side ones are being placed. It's basically kind of to secure the main frame of the headlamp to the bike. Side two done. Now the bottom two. Putting in the push key on the sides of the bike. Guys, don't worry, that particular gap was already there on the bike, so it's not something that you created. Right, so it's secured now, the entire frame of the headlamp to the The headlamp section is completely kind of attached by all the bolts, and we have got all the bolts on top of it. We're gonna have to apply the visor on top of this, right? So this is how the overall process is. Now we are fixing the visor on top of the need basically the 4 rubber dampeners. These are also available in any automobile shop. You can ask for them, or they're called as sometimes gasket as well. So you can ask them to be you have to place them, because this is a fiber stuff and this is metal. At higher revs, basically you will kind of hear the vibration. One of the things that you need to kind of understand is there has to be a gap between this and this. If there is no gap, if it is touching, then you are sure to have vibrations on the bike, right? So we've placed the visor on top of it, on the bolts, and now we're gonna kind of sort of put the nuts on top and complete the process. Placing the last 2 bolts now. The top 2 are done and the last 2 will go now. Guys, it's always important to put the washers and the visors in, because they basically prevent the whole visor from moving about, right? They are a good place, things to secure the visor in its place, right? The nuts which are there are kind of getting placed on the bike visor. Obviously you can paint them further with the black paint, and kind of avoid that chrome sort of feel look coming out. So that's it, guys. I think the overall setup has been done. That's all for this video. I hope you liked it, and if you did, do not forget to press that like button. Also, do subscribe to the channel to get the latest update on my YouTube channel.